November 26, 1896, Livingston Herald, Livingston, Montana. Here is a flying machine. They say it needs but a little more ballast to be a success. San Francisco Special, November 22. The Chronicle prints a story which would indicate that the airship in practicable form is an established fact. About 1 o'clock last Monday morning, the inhabitants of Sacramento who were astir at that hour claimed they saw an airship passing rapidly over the city. Some merely said they saw a bright light, while others went so far as to say they saw a cigar-shaped flying machine and heard human voices from it. The residents of Oakland also say they saw the same sight a few nights ago. The story of the mysterious airship has been told all over the state and has created considerable amusement, as it was generally believed to be a hoax. The Chronicle this morning prints an interview with George D. Collins, a reputable lawyer of the city who claims the airship is a reality. Attorney Collins says, "It is perfectly true that there is at last a successful airship in existence, and that California will have the honor of bringing it before the world. I have known of the affair for some time and am acting as attorney for the inventor. He is a very wealthy man who has been studying the subject of flying machines for 15 years, and who came here 7 years ago from the state of Maine in order to be able to perfect his ideas away from the eyes of other inventors. During the last 5 years, he has spent at least $100,000 on his work. He has not yet secured his patent, but his application is now in Washington. I cannot say much about the machine he has perfected, because he is my client, and besides, he fears his application will be stolen from the patent office if people come to know that his invention is practicable. I saw the machine one night last week at the inventor's invitation. It is made of metal, is about 150 feet long, and is built to carry 15 persons. There was no motive power as far as I could see, certainly no steam. It is built on the aeroplane system and has 2 canvas wings 18 feet wide and a rudder shaped like a bird's tail. The inventor climbed into the machine and, after he had been moving some mechanism a moment, I saw the thing begin to ascend from the earth very gently. The wings flapped slowly as it rose, and then, a little faster, as it began to move against the wind. The machine was under perfect control all the time. When it got to a height of about 90 feet, the inventor shouted to me that he was going to make a series of circles. He immediately did so, beginning by making a circle about 100 yards in diameter and gradually narrowing it till the machine got within 30 feet of the ground. It then fell straight down, very gracefully, and touched the earth as lightly as a falling leaf. The reports from Sacramento the other night were true. It was my client's airship that the people saw. It started from Oroville in Butte County and flew 65 miles in a straight line directly over Sacramento. After running up and down once or twice over the capital, my friend came right on, a distance of another 70 miles, and landed at a spot on the Oakland side of the bay, where the machine now lies, guarded by 80 men. The inventor found during his trial trip that his ship had a wave-like motion that made him seasick. It is this defect that he is now remedying. In another 6 days, the trouble will be done away with, and it is then his intention to immediately give the people of San Francisco a chance to see his machine. He will fly right over the city and across Market Street a dozen times. I cannot tell you where he is housing the ship, or what his name is, as I am under a pledge of secrecy, but it is a fact that the machine does its work perfectly, and will astound the world and revolutionize travel when it has been displayed before the public. The inventor can go to New York with it if he wants to. He has forsaken the ideas of Maxim and Langley entirely in building the machine, and has constructed it on an absolutely new theory. In spite of Mr. Collins' statement, there are many skeptics who say flatly they do not believe his story. It is almost incredible that an airship 150 feet long should be secreted in any building near San Francisco without the fact being made public. The mysterious lights seen over Sacramento, if any were seen, are thought to have been meteors, which passed within the range of vision of the belated citizens who thought they saw an airship. A dispatch from Oroville, California says, "The rumor that the airship which is alleged to have passed over Sacramento was constructed near this town seems to have a grain of truth in it. The parties who could give information if they would, however, are extremely reticent. They give evasive answers or assert they know absolutely nothing about it. Not a single person that saw or knew of an airship being constructed near here can be found, and yet there is a rumor that some man has been experimenting with different kinds of gas and testing those that are lighter than air. The experiments were made some miles east of town, and no one is able to give any names of the parties, who are evidently strangers seeking to avoid publicity. April 14, 1897. The Morning News, Muncie, Indiana. Airship news. Latest gossip with reference to aerial navigation. An Avondale resident claims to have seen the queer creature yesterday. Druggist Stevens gets interested, writes and receives a letter from Omaha. The mystery is solved. For a few days past, the mysterious airship has been the source of much newspaper talk, and the country seems to be full of people who have been sleeping but little. So fearful were they that the mysterious thing would pass over their heads without their seeing it. Until yesterday, Muncie had failed to produce a man who claimed to have seen the "What is it?" Sylvester Orrin, residing in Avondale, claims that he witnessed the ship nearly directly over his home shortly after 3 o'clock yesterday morning, when he stepped outdoors after being up all night with a sick child. The man claims that the varied colored lights were very discernible, and that there was a low rumbling sound, as if a severe windstorm was approaching. The lights moved rapidly and disappeared in the southeast. The city papers have frequently reported the appearance, in various parts of the country, the strange device, which some imaginative people have claimed was an airship, but there is no authentic information regarding either the ship or its inventor. Some people have endeavored to explain the mystery on the theory that a kite crank was manipulating large lights for the purposes of creating a sensation. One peculiarity about the airship story that seems to confirm this theory is that nothing is seen of the device in daylight. Professor Garriott of the U.S. Signal Service in Chicago says that the mystery is explained by a phenomena to which the star Alpha Orion, member of the constellation of Orion, is subject. The same thing occurred 25 or 30 years ago, and much speculation was awakened by the event. The professor claims that owing to some peculiarity of its own, the star goes off on an occasional tangent, turns blue in the face, and spits fire in a manner that any well-behaved star should avoid. W.P. Stevens, the well-known druggist, recently addressed an old friend in Omaha, Nebraska, where the strong lights were first seen, to ascertain the facts with reference to what was seen, and he received the following reply Monday. Omaha, Nebraska, April 10, 1897. In answer to yours of the 7th in reference to the airship, it is impossible for any one of the Knights of Exarban who witnessed this airship to determine the shape or any form about it. We saw a light some 1,200 feet high, and moving in various directions, is a fact, even at times in an opposite direction to a strong northwest wind that was blowing, as this light was quite a distance south of us. We have seen people who claimed that they were directly under it, and who made out a conical shape with moving wings, but I doubt, with the conditions prevailing, i.e., cloudy atmosphere, that it would be impossible to make out a shape. I used glasses to view it, but did not succeed. It is a pretty hard thing to make an affidavit describing a form at night unless you have a pretty clear sky and you are nearby. Before placing entire faith in giving my imagination full away, I would like to give it another trial before describing it. Shall be glad to post to you should anything occur that would justify the statement to that effect. Yours truly, A. Hosby, Jr. Mystery explained. It is a real ship and has come back to Mother Earth. A special to the Morning News from Taylorsville, Illinois, late last night stated that the airship had just landed in that town and that the 5,000 residents were wild with delight and that every factory whistle was tooting. The information was very meager and was to the effect that the landing was made because one of the wings on the ship was broken, and that as soon as it is repaired, the ship will again soar to the clouds. The ship is built similar to the shape of a cigar, with electricity as the propelling medium, and contained 6 unknown men who refused to give any information as to their identity or purpose. Taylorsville is located about 30 miles southeast of Springfield, Illinois, at the crossing of the Wabash and B&O railways. It is believed that the owners of the craft desired to evade the newspapers at this time and selected the small town, hoping to evade the reporters, but the metropolitan press will doubtless attempt to have the men thrown in jail until they consent to explain their conduct. This development adds strength to the story told by the Avondale men yesterday. April 30, 1897, Dubuque Daily Herald, Dubuque, Iowa. Mysterious airship. Edison denounces it as a pure fake, thinks it absurd. Believes, however, that airships will be successfully constructed in future, will only be toys at best. Thomas A. Edison doesn't think much of airships. He was seen recently in his West Orange laboratory in regard to a late account of the movement of the airship, according to which a letter was dropped from it on a farm near Astoria, Illinois, with a cipher enclosure addressed to Edison and signed C.L. Harris, Electrician, Airship Number 3. Mr. Edison paused from a luncheon of sandwiches, pumpkin pie, and tea to observe, "You can take it from me that this is a pure fake. I have had several men named Harris in my employ, but I know nothing of a C.L. Harris. I have no doubt that airships will be successfully constructed in the near future, but there has been too much talk about this supposed airship out west. I have always found that there is much talk before these ships are tried, and very little afterward. It is absolutely absurd to imagine that a man would construct a successful airship and keep the matter secret. When I was young, we used to construct big colored paper balloons, inflate them with gas, and they would float about for days. I guess someone has been up to the same game out west. When an airship is made, it will not be in the form of a balloon. It will be a mechanical contrivance which will be raised by means of a very powerful motor, which must be made of very light weight. At present, no one has discovered such a motor, but we never know what will happen. We may wake up tomorrow morning and hear of some invention which sets us all eagerly to work within a few hours, as was the case with the Röntgen rays. Their success may come. I am not, however, figuring on inventing an airship. I prefer to devote my time to objects which have some commercial value. At the best, airships would only be toys."